All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I am Jenny McCullum, the Director of Procurement Services for JEA and the Chief Procurement Officer and the Chair of the Awards Committee. I would like to call the January 21st, 2021 awards meeting to order. We have a quorum with Stephen Datz, Alan McElroy, Joe Arfano, Steve Tootin, and Wayne Young. The only one that is not in attendance in person is Joe Arfano, so we do have a quorum on site. OGC is represented by Julie Davis, and Budget is represented by Lori Whitmer. Before we get started, do we have any public comments? I'll start with anyone in the room on CC1. All right, seeing none. Do we have any email public comments that have come in, Cecil or Lynn?
No, we do not.
Okay, great. And is there anyone on the phone that is here for public comment? Okay. All right, on today's regular agenda, we have items 1 and 3 through 5. Item 2 has been deferred, and they have all been reviewed by Procurement and Budget and are ready for the Awards Committee review. We'll review each award item individually. I'll ask for a motion to approve each award item with a second, and then we'll roll call through the committee to individually approve each item. We'll start with the meeting minutes from the January 14th meeting. Do we have any questions or comments?
This is Steve Tootin. I make a motion to approve the January 14th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Wayne Young, second.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Wayne. I'll roll call through the committee to approve the meeting minutes from January 14th, 2021, starting with Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 3 is a proposal. This is for our COVID-19 mobile screening services, and this is to provide temperature screening services to include staffing, training, coordination, and daily reporting of the screening results. Unified Health Services, LLC is the recommended awardee in the amount of $364,722.75. This is for a 1-year contract that would end in January of 2022. And we also have 2 1-year optional renewals if needed. JEA received 3 proposals, and the companies were evaluated on rates, professional experience, location, availability, company experience, and design approach. As I said, Unified Health Services, LLC was deemed the highest evaluated, responsive, and responsible proposer. And if you'll look at the amount that they had bid, the award amount has a supplemental work authorization of about 5% and the amount of a little over $17,000 as a cushion. And I'll just note that JEA awarded this originally on an emergency contract to Unified Health Services back in August of 2020 to provide these services while we could bid them out. And when we compare the pricing between the current contract and the new contract, we're seeing approximately 12% savings over the 1 year of about $48,000. I will pause there and see if there's any questions or comments on award number 3.
Jenny, this is Stephen Datz. Just in regard to metric tracking, have there been instances whereby an employee had an elevated temperature, denied access to a JEA facility, and then later tested positive?
I'll have to pass that over to Paul Thomas to answer.
Good morning. Hi, Steve. We have had system-wide about 20 individuals that have failed a screening station. Some of those are from temperature, some of those where they say they've had contact with positive. But once they move, out of that, get with their manager, or sometimes it's a contractor, once they move away from that and go and get tested, I get aggregated data, so I don't know by person, who may have ended up positive and who may not have, with obviously with some HIPAA concerns there. So that information is shared very minimally. So, but we do track who does not get in each morning. It's very few, but yes, we do have data on that. It's about 20.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Paul.
This is Alan Macklin. I move that we approve.
Stephen Datz,
Thanks,
second.
Alan. Thanks, Stephen. I'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 3, starting with Alan McElroy.
Approve.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Joe Arfano,
Approve.
Steve Tootin,
Approved.
and Wayne Young.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 4, this is another proposal, so an RFP for engineering services for the 8th Street Class 3 and 4 pump station and the Wilson Boulevard Class 3-4 pump station, and this is for the rehabilitation of both of those. So we are requesting services for the professional detailed design, permitting, and services during construction of the complete rehabilitation of the 2 pump stations mentioned. Constantine Engineering LLC is our recommended awardee, and the negotiated scope and fee is in the amount of $822,451. We are expected to have this project completed July of 2023. We do have some JSEB participation. It was an evaluation criteria of 5% is what we thought we could get from a JSEB participation, which was optional, and this company, Constantine, elected a little over 4%, and we have those written out. We received 4 proposals, and I'll just note that the proposed engineering design and services during construction is about, the fee and the award amount is about 37% higher than anticipated, in part due to additional items being placed into the scope of work after the estimate was completed. And so estimate together, whenever that was, there were other additional items that we placed in the scope of work and placed in the advertisement when we went out to bid. The hourly rates and the level of effort are deemed reasonable and compared to other JEA projects of this type. So when we go out to negotiate, we're looking at benchmarking data of different engineering companies and different types to benchmark the rates, the hourly rates that they're providing to us. So really, it's just an additional scope that caused the award amount to be higher than the budget estimate. I will pause and ask if there are any questions or comments on award number 4.
This is Wayne. I do have a question. When we do our estimate and then we receive a bid on it, and then there are other items that are brought into play, as in this case, do we establish a new estimate based on the new items added to the list?
I'll let the business comment on how they develop their budget estimate prior to bid.
This is Bradley Collier. The answer is yes.
Okay. Maybe it has been done in the past, but if an estimate is presented at the beginning of the project and modifications are made for new items to come in, unless it's here and I missed it, it would be useful just to have what that revised estimate is based on the new line assignments or items added just going forward. I'm not sure if that's a general practice or not, but it would be helpful.
So Bradley, before we went out to bid, did we revise the estimate? or just revise the budget once it came back in?
Well, remember, it's CCNA, so we had outlined the scope, and what we're saying is that after we selected number one firm, then we proceeded to change the scope and add these 4 items that you see listed here. And that's, we met with our stakeholders, and these are the items they wanted to add. So we added those to the scope, hence our price increased for those 4 items. They were 0 before because they weren't even in scope. So we've added them.
So let me just make sure the award reads correctly. So you added the scope. What the award says is we added the scope prior to advertisement. It was included in the advertisement, not during the negotiations. Can you confirm that?
We added these items after the advertisement. I mean, it's one big program for these 2 pump stations. And we just said, well, look, let's look at these pumps. That's bullet number 2. We may not want to go with the same type pump. We know we're going to change out the pumps, but let's study it and make sure we're selecting the right pump. Beforehand, we were telling them, this is the pump we want. Now we're telling them, well, tell us what pump we need.
Got it.
So Jenny, through the chair to the Bradley, so these, I said, I guess I didn't hear an answer to the question, whether this was done as an addendum to the RFP, or was this done as during the negotiation, that the changes were made?
Yeah, the scope is, we just made some minor modifications to the scope. We said in the advertisement, we want to rehab this pump station. And then the way we wrote it is, this is the pump we want. Now we're telling them during the study, during the post selection, during the negotiations, look, we really need to do a study on this particular pump. And so add that to the list of things that we need to do. It's just a minor.
Clarify that these were not material changes to the scope that was advertised.
No, we know we're doing.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
We know we're doing the pipeline. It's just a matter of, let's make sure that we do the right thing, and we study it to make sure that we are minimizing our exposure from an operations standpoint and from an economic standpoint.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Jenny, it's Joe Arpano. The other 3 proposals are listed as NA.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't understand why. Did they not submit pricing, or?
Yes, so this is CCNA. And when we do, just by Florida statute with CCNA, when we go out for bid, we are only doing a qualifications-based selection. And once we pick the highest ranked, we negotiate the scope and fee with the highest ranked. And if we can't negotiate, we would go to the second low bid or second ranked, and we would start negotiating with them, and so on until we found a good negotiation point. But you're required by state law to pick the most qualified for engineering.
Okay. Because correct me if I'm wrong, we've done business with Arcadis in the past, correct? I believe we have.
We have. Mm-hmm. We've done business with all of them. I don't know if I've seen Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly. But Constantine, Arcadis, and Wright Pierce bid on our things quite often.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right, can we get a motion to approve award number 4?
Wayne Young, motion to approve.
Thanks, Wayne.
Joe Arpano, second.
Thanks, Joe. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 4, starting with Wayne Young.
Approved.
Joe Arfano,
Approved.
Stephen Datt,
Approved.
Alan McElroy,
Approved.
and Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 5 is a rescind, and this is for facilities janitorial services. This is our open market for downtown service centers and other sites that are primarily, in Duval County, but we have some additional sites in Clay, Nassau, and St. Johns counties. We had 9 proposals received, but during the process of contracting and looking at the minimum qualifications and the references, it was determined that the requirements needed to be modified. We were finding that there weren't many that were meeting the minimum qualifications, which would lead us to believe that they are too restrictive. So we are going to rescind, make modifications to those, and rebid. Does anyone have any questions or comments on award number 5?
Jenny, this is Steve Tootin. Although I'm reading here, it says the companies did not provide feedback that they couldn't attain those
Correct.
requirements. That's kind of strange.
Yeah. I mean, there's always an opportunity for them to push back during the bidding process on our main quals or our tech specs through addendum or questions or even a solicitation protest. We did not get that here. It looked like when we started going through the references that they met them, but once we started calling the references, they did not. So we will, make those modifications, and when we do the pre-bid, we will spend extra time going over what those minimum qualifications are to make sure everyone is clear for the rebid.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, this is Lori. What is the minimum qualification they were not meeting?
So,
What
Lori,
was the minimum?
I'm sorry, Jenny, you want me to go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
Chrissy.
this is Chrissy through the chair. Lori, originally, because of COVID and the additional cleaning requirements, we had upped the square footage to 900,000 square feet. But originally it was 600,000 square feet. So we went back to the original because knowing that with COVID, that could potentially vary, but for the minimum qualification, wanted them to at least be able to meet the 600 square feet minimum qualification. So that's what we intend to go back to.
Any other questions?
This is Wayne. This is Wayne. I do have a question with respect to that. I'm not clear on I understand that we're rescinding it and the reason why. I just draw concern with the requirement that we have versus the capability of anyone to fulfill that requirement. In backing off on the requirement that we initially had, are we putting ourselves in a situation where we're compromising what really needs to be done to meet our expectations?
I don't think that we are, because the initial bid, the original bid before COVID and everything, was the 600,000 square feet. And we have an incumbent who's doing a great job in excess of that. However, we need to be able to make sure that they're able to meet the minimum qualifications, and we'll evaluate based on that as a starting point. So we feel that the 600,000 square feet minimum qualification is sufficient to draw enough competition and qualified vendors.
Jenny, this is Melanie. Do you mind if I speak up real quickly? I think I might could clear up Wayne's question.
Not at all, Melanie. Go ahead.
This is Melanie from Facilities. And what happened was our original minimum requirements, we actually included a dollar amount and a square footage amount. So in reflecting back on all the bid responses that came in, we realized that putting those 2 requirements, and to answer your question, no, when we go back out, we will not be putting at risk the quality of services that we get. We've decided when we go back out to change the minimum qualifications so that it's just hitting the requirement of the square footage, because essentially we didn't really care how much they're going to charge for that and that they had a contract that met a dollar requirement. We really wanted to just make sure that they were capable of cleaning that much square footage in a contract in an annual perspective. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So it does.
It
And
does.
so
My question really isn't focused on the quality of the service provided so much as the need that we have to fulfill, whether it's 600,000 or 900,000 square feet. I would think that it was 900,000 square feet because we felt we had to bring attention to that amount of space to be taken care of. So my question would be, if we submitted a contract for 600,000 square feet, for the remaining square feet that we've taken out from the contract, is there a need to have that taken care of as well, or is it less concern?
yeah,
I think Chrissy might have been sorry.
Let me comment on that. Okay, so I think I'm understanding your question, Wayne. So we're not taking out from we're reducing the minimum qualification, which just gets their foot in the door. The workbook itself is still going to show the amount of work we need them to do, but the minimum qualification should not be so restrictive. It's minimally what we want to make sure they can meet, that we feel that they can do the work for JEA. So it doesn't have to, and we encourage the business not to always make the minimum qualification equal to our square footage. That's just the foot in the door. Our workbook will show them how much work we need them to do, and that won't change. So this is just to give them an opportunity to show us they've had past contracts that are similar, but it doesn't have to be the same as JEA. We're confident that the business is confident that 600,000 square feet is plenty for someone to have done to be able to do the work for JEA going forward.
Jenny, to answer his question, it's always been 600 square feet. We had a $900,000 requirement with a 600,000 square feet. So we're not changing the square footage. We're just eliminating the 900,000. I think when Chrissy might have been looking at the numbers, she was thinking 900,000 square feet.
Sorry, I misspoke on the number. I apologize.
And 600.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
This is Steve Tooten. When does if you will, the current contract expire, if there is one? You know, for similar janitorial services as being done now, or is this brand new?
No, it's similar to the current contract. We tried to emulate the current contract, but added in the additional services for COVID disinfecting.
No. When does the current contract expire?
Oh. It should have expired December.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
This is Steve Tooten, motion to approve.
Stephen Dat, second.
Thank you. Wonderful. We'll roll call through the committees to approve award number 5, starting with Stephen Dat.
Approved.
Steve Tooten.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And Wayne Young.
Approved.
Thank you. The entire agenda is approved for January 21st, 2021. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee? Okay, seeing none, we're adjourned. Everybody have a great rest of your day and a safe weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.